Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Rejoining the show is Jana. Hey Jana, how you doing?
Hey Danny, what's up?
All good. In a different location, as you can see. Next couple of podcasts will be recorded from here. Jana, what we're going to be talking about today?
Today I'm gonna share some updates about international marketplaces, Amazon generally, how Q2 has been, recession, bits of everything, which I think it's highly relevant for our industry.
Yeah, no, it's good because obviously you take care of a lot of aggregators, a lot of sellers, service providers, etc. for the translation. So you get quite a big view. I mean, you've got a team of over 100 now. Is that right, or thereabouts?
No, it's around 80. It's still around 80, but I'm really
Still
happy that
only about 80. That's still a lot. That's
yeah.
still a
I
large
mean, you
team
know what?
for.
I thought it was gonna scale. I thought it was gonna scale more, but I was just really happy that we did not have to fire anyone
Yeah,
this year and with everything going on. So I'm just so happy I have a team of about 80 people. So yeah,
yeah,
hopefully scaling to 100 by the end of the year. We'll see.
yeah. You mentioned about the recession because obviously everyone wants to promote. Oh, it's all going amazing. It's all going well. Look, everyone
Yeah.
has to go up. They have to go down, and there's somewhere in between where it gets settled. So, what have you seen from your point of view? You said Q1 because of what you do and the volume that you do, you get a good indicator of data, right? Where if people are doing less of that, there's an impact on them for not doing that, either expanding to new markets, i.e., cost more money, right?
Yeah.
So you can see they start to pull back their money, and especially dealing with like large aggregators, the volume that they do, the adjustments that they make across the board. Can we talk about some of that? No names or anything, but just gives us a bit
Yeah.
of an idea.
Sure. Well, I mean, talking from my own, experience and perspective, like Q1 has not been a great for us, and I know it hasn't been great for a lot of other service providers. But nobody's going to be like, "Oh yeah, we're having a shitty year," But when you say
Yeah,
it first, and they're like, "Oh yeah," like a lot of clients just walked away, and I mean, it's
yeah,
completely fine. It's normal because it's a difficult time for e-commerce, and like it was easy for everyone to make money in 2020 because of COVID, but
yeah,
that was not the real world. But like the Q1 was not that great, and we haven't seen a lot of people, scaling their business overseas, which was absolutely was a logical set of events because like when you don't have an essential service, of course you're going to be first on the list to cut expenses for, and this is of course what happened with other service providers as well, and also with aggregators. Like we've worked with basically every major aggregator out there, Thrasio, Perch. Now their guys are just laying off tons of people, and aggregators are not in a not in a great space. And we haven't had any aggregators get in touch with like a new batch or anything like this year. But then surprisingly, a couple of weeks ago, we got in touch by 3 new aggregators that had like more than 10 brands. They wanted to expand, like do like all in. It was really, really interesting to see that. So obviously, like in every crisis, there is an opportunity for someone. So I don't know if these aggregators bought brands from others, from other aggregators, or they just want to like maximize on everything because they know that other aggregators are not doing it at that extent as they were earlier. But it's really interesting to see that something definitely happening.
yeah,
And from the beginning of Q2, and especially now after Prime Day, we've seen like we're getting big volumes of work with like both sellers and bigger brands. So that makes me think that like things might start getting back to how they were and getting back to normal. People wanting to invest more, maybe turn to other sides, like go international, maybe even more spend more money because they believe that this is what's gonna translate to their sales. We'll see, but definitely I think sales are picking up like in Q2. And I mean, just the Prime Day being like the most successful Prime Day in history of Amazon, I was honestly not expecting that. I was like, I'm like kind of skeptical. I was kind of was just like bling low and be like, let's see how this goes. But then having a Prime Day this successful, I'm pretty sure that they're also going to launch that other Prime Day that we're talking about in autumn. I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to do, and it's very much going to be successful as well. So I think the end of Q2 and beginning of Q3 is going to be much better for our industry than how the start of the year was.
yeah. No, it's interesting. If I reflect back, we look back in Vegas and stuff, it probably explains why there is a lot of service providers out there and their approach, they're quite salesy rather than kind of more relaxed. We noticed
relax,
that, right? Yeah. So we're seeing,
I agree.
we've seen more of that. So that might go to explain across the industry that maybe things have been slowing down, right? So capital's becoming more expensive. We're seeing that a lot of the aggregators, whether they say officially on pause or not, a big chunk of them are, but some people are not going to say that, but they'll buy unicorn if a unicorn comes along. But what's interesting, like you said, is that they're coming in, they're probably, now they don't have an acquisition team, and it's not just about acquiring. Now they're reverting back to, right, we now need to maximize the returns on the brands that we have. Let's switch our focus on that. And the money that we raise to buy brands is our cash flow to see us through whilst we maximize the growth of the current brands to return to our investors.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. And it's always, someone who will find an opportunity when others will just, back off and like not be active. And I just think that's exactly what these guys are doing. So really, really surprised by that.
And obviously the shift for sellers is they've seen, they've started to see the multiples come down. So they decided to hunker down for the long term until the next wave come. I did a show about it last week.
Long term now game is the only game you should play right now, honestly.
Yeah, so we've seen it go from the multiples to 6, 7s, and sometimes 8s if they're unicorn.
Yeah, crazy multiples.
We're back around 4. Obviously, long and short of it, you can listen to the show, but imagine being a seller when you watch your friends selling at 6 and 7 multiples and you're being offered 3.5s and 4s. It's difficult, a bit of pill to swallow, even though it's a market adjustment and that was more of a bubble. But I definitely think the next wave would be next 18 months. So with the sellers that are coming to you and go, right, we're going to push out, we're going to expand, they're making more value in their business by inching out and squeezing more value out of it by rolling out to more, say, European marketplaces outside of the US. So it makes it a relevant strategy. So for the next 18 months, we're creating more growth and more profitability in hope of that in their business, therefore creates more value. So when the multiples do come up, which I don't think they'll go up to 8, but you might get 5s and 6s, which will make a difference. So we seem to have gone from an industry where a lot of people are thinking, let's get ready to exit. Now the mindset is moving back towards, let's carry on growing and let's see where we go from that. Let's sustain this. Yeah.
And it's also really interesting to also see that, I mean, Amazon has been pushing international expansion for about a year and a half now. And from what we've also found out is that there are going to be new marketplaces coming out pretty soon. And I think they're going to roll out all of them by 2024. So what they have planned is first it's going to be Belgium, and then it's going to be Colombia and Chile, which was kind of logical. And everyone was expecting more of like a South American expansion with Spanish. And then very interesting, they put Nigeria and South African Republic. Which is also very interesting because like for both of those, you can use English. So you don't need any sort of like, different content, probably some localization, but you can use English to just launch in these countries as well as you can like use Spanish. You've used like in Mexico, you can use it like in Chile and Colombia with some of the probably like localization differences. But that's going to be very, very interesting to see how it unfolds. I'm really interested to see like how African marketplaces and how consumers over there respond to Amazon. I think it's going to be really, really exciting.
Definitely. And it's about adoption as well. I mean, more about these, what I call the niche marketplaces, where else is like Holland. And I mean, how's Holland doing? How's Poland doing? Because when I was over speaking in Poland last September, I met the Polish Amazon team. And I wouldn't say it was arrogance, but they're like, yeah, but we're Amazon. And they couldn't believe how tough the uptake was for them. And I was trying to explain to them, I said, it's the Australia fallacy, because over in Australia, they're so used to eBay, right? Whilst Australia's picking up, the adoption isn't been as fast as maybe they hoped. And then the same with Poland. No one wants to leave Allegro or invest time in Amazon, but their mindset was, but we're Amazon. And I said, I know you've been at it for 3 years. Right? They go out to events, they're trying to attract people, they're trying to hire people from Allegro and stuff like that. But the Polish are not shifting. They're not running to Amazon in droves. And I think the way that it's set up is that they've come in as the all-powerful Amazon, but they don't have the dominance to have that level of arrogance. So they're left with the disappointment is, yes, it will grow, but they woefully underestimated how long it would take. And there was like 10, 12 people. I had dinner with them from the Polish Amazon team. Not super, super high ups, but boots on the ground. We were out there. They were obviously at that event to get more Amazon sellers on board and address them to get them away from Allegro. So what
you know what, it is a tough cookie, like Allegro, especially being like top 10 marketplaces right after Tmall and Shopee. That's like a really, really big challenge for Amazon, because what happened in like UAE and Saudi Arabia and Egypt, they just bought souk.com. That was basically Allegro for that part of the world. And Amazon bought it. And this is how they kind of, like did their competitors. And by the way, it's really interesting that Prime Day starts tomorrow for UAE and Saudi Arabia and Egypt. Right. So it's going to be a 2-day Prime Day, but it starts tomorrow, like 23rd and 24th. So that's kind of, it's like their own thing, their world on its own. But I don't know, like it's curious to see like how Amazon, what they do with Allegro, because I don't see like them buying Allegro. I don't think they would ever do that. But sales are just not happening on the Polish marketplace because people are so used to Allegro, and Poland has like this like great e-commerce environment, and people are just used to buying different websites and not that much like focused on Amazon because they've had so many things before Amazon came to that marketplace. So I'm like really curious to see like when things start taking off, because as soon as Amazon focused on the Dutch marketplace, they're like, okay, let's just beat Bol. Bol was the dominant marketplace, but also the Netherlands is a much smaller country, and Bol was not Allegro. It never was that big. So I'm just curious to see like how things unfold when it comes to Amazon in Poland, because it should be a really, really amazing marketplace. The Polish marketplace is one of the best in Europe, and I'm just also waiting for something to happen over there, as well as all of the other sellers, translating their inventory and all of that. Just curious to see when will things start happening over there.
Yeah. So where would you say sellers should put their bets at the moment? If they're on .com, they're selling in the UK, sell Germany, 3 strong markets. You've got sleepy Spain, little Italy, and then you got France and stuff. Where are you seeing? I mean, obviously it's got to be product dependent on how it will work in terms of culturally, is that product to fit in the market. But where are you seeing some interesting places for land grabs for sellers who go, okay, I've got a bit of time allocation.
I don't know. I would maybe even try UAE, not Italy, not like the Netherlands or Sweden or Spain. I would maybe try UAE because it's a very big marketplace, and the competition is not that fierce, and you can use like US English listing to get there. They're like FBA and all that. It depends on the category, but if you're like in a good category for UAE, I think you should try that one because it's much bigger and better, and people are seeing sales versus Poland and Sweden right now, which is not doing fantastic. But UAE could be potentially really interesting. Of course, there's also Japan, but it's a different world. I'm just saying the UAE could work with whatever it's working for you in the US marketplace. It could also be a bestseller in the UAE. So it's kind of not that hard to transition to that marketplace over there.
And the interesting thing, when a new marketplace launches, is places like examples of Japan, right? So in Japan, like we would laugh, not now I'm saying, but if we go back 2 or 3 years ago, I remember doing some presentations and launching on the Japanese market. You're on the US marketplace, right? So you're not going to go for ubiquitous products because you'll get killed, right? You're not going to do spatulas and stuff like that.
No.
So you need to do niche. Then you go, I'm going to take my niche on the US marketplace where I'm winning, right? Then I'm going to take it to a new marketplace that doesn't have the velocity and volume. And the problem you got is if it's niche there, there's a good chance it's going to be niche here. What I mean by that, let's just say you go to Japan. We would say on the US marketplace, I'm talking about going back a few years, just use this as an example. Go back a few years, it would be a good idea on Japan back then to sell spatulas. Why? Because the depth of market isn't there And if you want to sell a volume, then you need to sell products of volume. Do you know what I mean? More ubiquitous products. An umbrella, which I advise never to sell to anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Because it rains in every country. So they're obviously a ubiquitous product. But on the newer marketplaces, if you've got a super niche one on the US marketplace, chances are you might sell 1 unit every other day or 2 units a day, or because it's so niche. And that's one of the difficulties of making your adjustments across to new marketplaces, is to work out what products are going to work. Does that make sense?
But there's like so many easy ways to figure that out. Like you don't need to hire whoever. Like if you just go to like, I don't know, like brand analytics, or use like black box, like Helium 10, you can definitely see like if it's gonna work or not. It's a no-brainer, but a lot of people don't do it. They're like, they don't have any idea. They're just do it.
5 minutes. Takes 5 minutes to check out.
It's given to you literally, and yours is just to take it. That's how it is. But don't go being like, oh, I've heard great things about, I don't know, German market. Just freaking do it, because your bestseller in the US or the UK doesn't necessarily have to be a bestseller in other marketplaces. And you just spend a lot of time and money. So you know, there are a lot of really parameters which are absolutely for free that will show you if it's a good niche for you, like to sell that marketplace or not. And that a lot of people don't use it, because I don't know why. A lot of people, we like in this industry, we like to pay for things. If it's free, it's like, is this really good? And usually it's not.
Where's the value? I
mean, right? Where's the where's the ROI? I need ROI, right? But there are like tons of things that you can do for free, like this market research actually, and you can get some really decent results, and it can be a really good, you know, it can a sign if you're gonna do it or not, and that's it.
All right, so just switching up slightly, I want to, because obviously we've done a lot of talking about industry and stuff. In terms of getting back on content, some takeaways, you was mentioning the competitor on each marketplace. So just for sellers who are looking to sell off of Amazon, use third-party channels, let's run through some of them. So obviously in the UK, behind Amazon, people will look at eBay, the same would they would in Australia, right? Outside of Amazon. And then it's Allegro over in Poland. What's the one in France? There's a
Cdiscount.
Yeah. So this is why there's another way of looking to expand to markets, by going to the leading marketplace. If you're selling on Amazon already in Europe, it's worth looking at these platforms as well if you've got a free.
And also these platforms are way simpler than Amazon,
and easier to rank on and get reviews.
Easier to rank on. You basically need like maybe just need like head keyword in the title, and that's basically it. And tons of content is really bad. And you literally need, I don't think you need more than like 50 words for your product. It's not that complex. You don't need the algorithm, whatever this and that, like bullets and the brand and the A+ content and all of that. It's pretty simple. Also Rakuten, really good marketplace to think about.
Aren't they, as well?
Yeah, big in Japan as well. Also like something to think about, you know, like there's like tons of things. Also there's a marketplace called Feel Unique also for different like niches. There's like so many marketplaces you can try and sell on. And if you have good content in that target language, you can basically take like 10% whatever you're already done and just put it on this Cdiscount, and that's it. Literally, you don't have to do any additional work.
That can be part of your expansion portfolio, right? So if you say, right, I'm going to roll out to Europe, you go, okay, what's the leading platform in Europe? I've got my stocks in, say, a 3PL anyway. If it depends if you're going cross-border, but let's just say your stock's set up in Germany. You know, you want to go, okay, going to sell on DE, but also what's the secondary marketplace that we could sell on there as well? And it's the same with Spain, because Spain and Italy are funny ones, aren't they? I know people that do really well, but most don't. Like your 80-20 rule, your volume is pretty much low. Like if you're going to come to into Europe, it's generally it's Germany or UK first. Depends on culturally how your product fits, right? And whether you can rank that product on there. So they're normally the two mainstays. But then you go, oh, fuck it, I'm going to just launch it on Spain and stuff. And then you wonder why you get nothing out of it. But and then that just means pushing stock round, that your time is money as well. So it might be part of your strategy is to look at the leading marketplace there to back it up. So if it doesn't work out on one, at least you've got that as a secondary option to make it conducive.
The important thing is just to to know like what are the niches, because a lot of marketplaces, they don't offer like I don't know, kitchenware niche at all.
Yeah.
Like Zalando, they do clothing, they, you know, like they see that discount does everything. So you just have to do a little research like what goes what, because not everything sells everything. Actually, top 3-4 marketplaces are, you know, the Amazon, eBay, then Allegro in Poland, which we
Yeah.
mentioned, and then you have Wildberries, which is basically an Amazon in Russia as well.
Right.
That's like very, very big. It's like $140 billion, I think, like the turnover that they make. So it's insane. So you don't have to focus on Amazon only. Maybe like on other marketplaces, you could do even better if you're not doing great. Like especially when it comes to clothing, it's like Amazon with clothing, like all the categories has never been like a, you know, when you, like, for instance, when you talk to people in Germany, they would buy clothes on Zalando or Atos or Etsy, like the crafts and work. They would not go to Amazon. So it really depends on the niche. You know, maybe you can do better in like this other platform. I mean, who knows? But people don't research this enough, and it's really, really easy. Yeah.
Well, maybe what we do is we'll add these to the show notes, if you don't mind, after the video.
Yeah.
Is
just
drop me some links. I'll add them to the show notes and then.
And also, I have a really good, you know, we've done tons of products with Data Dive. We've started using it since February. And for a lot of marketplaces, it works very, very well. And it really does show you all the potential and relevancy and all that. But if you don't have a highly competitive product, if you're not in a highly competitive niche, and let's say if you're selling that product in like in Italy, which is a quite small marketplace, it's not gonna do you any good because it doesn't show a lot of keywords. It shows like maybe 1 or 2. So you then just still have to go back and like work and focus on Helium 10. So unfortunately, like, you know, if you're like, you know, debating whether you should get the subscription, then cancel Helium 10. Right now, it's not a good idea to cancel anything because you have to just combine like both of the tools. But I would say that we've been pretty impressed with the results that we're getting and the traction. We're working now on a really like a big case study with a big seller. He has a highly competitive product, so it's going to be a really good case study. But a lot of times, don't be disappointed if you don't get the good results that you need, because if it's like a small sample of competitors and small marketplace, it's not going to do any good.
Yeah, and also don't forget is you've got brand analytics. All of that data should be washed against brand analytics because
that's like
there's one thing for search volume. One thing for search volume, but the other thing is frequency rank is based on the sales anyway. So you can wash against those to get a better picture. And again, that's obviously free. But yeah, I mean, we are in interesting times. I'm still bullish. You know, some people like, like this kind of thing. But everything has a level of cycles. I just think on Amazon, we've had a tremendous run. Do you see what I mean? And you have to have dips. And then it comes back again.
Literally like 2 years it was like this, and now it's a dip, and then it will start coming up again, and that's it.
So I don't think there's anything to worry about. You just hunker down for the winter that's here at the moment for some people, and there are going to be people that are super thriving anyway, right? Because where some are winning, some are losing. And if you look at the beginning of COVID, a lot of people, I mean, we had it with the agency. I remember when COVID hit with the agency, and it was like everyone was kind of in shock. And there were certain clients, there's a chunk of our clients would have been in trouble with it because of the nature of the products were bought through COVID. And I said to all of them, I've paused all your contracts. We're still going to run your businesses in terms of PPC. You don't have to pay us anything. When you've recovered, we'll start the contracts again. This is not retrospective. Every single one of them stayed with us, bar one. Cost me about 40, 50 grand, but it was a good investment. Because what he'd done is I invested in my clients to say, look, we're not going anywhere. We're going to trade you through this and give you all the support that you need. And they all stayed with us bar one, as I said, and they all made their recovery. You know. Yeah. So you're going to get times in an industry where things go up and down. So this again, I always say about the show is it's about giving you the reality. Let's live in an objective reality. When things are shifting, it's always good to know, because obviously we've had things with logistics, and we've had the situation with material costs are starting, the impacts here to start to come up. We've seen a good run of sellers selling their businesses at great multiples. That's quietening down again, but you just catch the next wave. You know, a surfer has to wait on their board, right? And then all you got to do is be patient. You've got to put your head down, get patient, and then be ready to catch the next wave. That's what entrepreneurs do.
Exactly, 100%. And as we said at the start of the episode, you know, it's a long-term game now. You know,
Yeah.
there's no like, you know, quick fix and like do this and then tomorrow. No, you just kind of like do what we do. We, you know, solve problems and wait for the next big wave, and that's it, which will surely come. And that's it.
Yeah, indeed. Last thing before we go, do you want to talk about A+ come out today?
Oh, yeah. So we've just found out this morning, actually, that the A+ is going to be available for all brands. For now, what I've seen, it's US and India. I know a lot of sellers haven't seen it yet, but I think it's going to be a, you know, slow rollout, but definitely it's going to be available for everyone. And I'm sure all marketplaces at one point, but that's just really, really big news. And it's really exciting that everyone will get the opportunity to have that A+, and we can forget about, you know, product descriptions or the little notepad text making no sense and that.
Yeah, cool. All right, best way people can reach you, Jana.
You guys can add me on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, my favorite social media platform, and I always post like tons of really good content. So hit me up over there, or you can send me an email at jana@ylt-translations.com.
Cool. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Jana, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Take care of yourself and your family. Much love, and I'll see you again next week. Take care.